You're listening to Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles Episode 78, featuring Amazing Spider-Man number 222 and Uncanny X-Men number 151 from August 1981. Hello and welcome to the 78th episode of Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles podcast. I am your host, Pat, aka DJ Christatos. Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles is a podcast that will journal the Amazing Spider-Man comic book issues read chronologically by their release date, along with another comic from my comic book collection, either in digital, in a trade, or from the many long boxes stashed away in my basement. Each episode will provide short recaps, reviews, and ratings of the issues for that release date. The goal is to keep me actively reading through my collection and having some fun along the way, talking about them with my friends. And speaking about my friends, I am not alone and really haven't been for 70-some episodes that we have done. And we also have special super secret people in the chat that get to join us as well. And it's a really super secret chat that's going on. Believe me, I didn't even know what was happening until just now.
So secret, we don't know where it is.
I don't even know how to get there. But we'll get to them in a little bit. But let's go ahead and talk to Jared Elbrick, a.k.a. Mr. Death Probe.
Oh, hey, Pat. I got a letter for you here from my parents. It says I can't be on the LONGBOX CRUSADE anymore. So.
Oh, really?
There's that. Yeah.
I'm going to have to call them up and find out for sure.
Yeah. Make sure there's not like mental control going on.
Yeah. Let me hold on. No, I don't think nothing going on there.
All I got was a whole bunch of images of Jane Seymour in my head all of a sudden. I don't know what happened.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Anyways, that's my bit. I'm going to no longer be part of the LBC crew because my parents sent a letter in saying.
Well, I think on that, before you say goodbye, why don't we share a can of Sprite and we'll call it a day.
It's a good Sprite reference, I guess.
You like that? I tried. Wasn't that greatest one, but
should probably move on.
Yeah. Why don't we move on? We'll move on over to Jason, the Weasel Skull Ulbrich. Jason, how are you?
I'm fine. My bit is going to be very similar to when Jared just did. But I was going at it from this angle. I was like, hey, I tried to start this new school, but it turns out the parents don't like it so much when I nearly get their kid killed, like within the first week, and then send them to another planet, nearly get him killed the next week. Go figure. People keep taking their kids out of my school and moving on. They just don't give me a chance, Pat. That's what I'm saying. They just don't give me a chance.
Yeah, I think, once they heard that you left them alone on Christmas and got an alien to come.
He was Jewish.
But you still take them with you. It's the holidays.
And she destroyed my hangar. She destroyed my hangar. She destroyed my training room. Man, I'm just telling you that her tuition did not begin to cover the damages that this person left on my facility. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I can see some holes in that knowledge, but I guess we'll move on. But good luck. Good luck. Hopefully you can get some more kids to join you.
That aren't so afraid to die.
I didn't say that, but, maybe leave that out of the recruiting process.
Maybe I should downplay that element of the school.
You should probably just say some athletic ability is needed, but
could be life or death.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll kind of leave that out, but Laurel, can you look over Jason's contract and all that okay. What? I know don't keep telling me you don't work here. Okay. She'll get to it. She said she'll get to it. All right. Well, let's go ahead and meet Delvin, the Dark Web Williams. Delvin, how are you?
Great, Pat. How you doing?
I'm doing well myself.
I mean, we've been podcasting together, like 6, getting close to 7 years. It's been a while, but like,
it has been. Yeah.
You might not know. I have a hidden talent. You know what that hidden talent is?
Dylan, I do not.
Yeah, you wouldn't. It's hidden. You wouldn't know. I mean, it's forging signatures. Like, it takes a while, but like, if you go just right, like, you could forge a signature that says like Michael and Brenda Albrecht. And you can have that signature. And hypothetically speaking,
why would one do that?
If you wanted like someone to come up with like a note or something to like get them kicked off of the podcast, you know what? I've said too much. Huh? Hey, Jared, dude, I am sorry to see you go, man. Like your room though, it's spacious, and we'll discuss things later.
I don't think he's going to take his furniture with him at all. He might keep it just in case he comes back, but
yeah, just in case he visits.
Yeah.
Plans to visit a lot.
Well, visit the guest bedroom.
Yeah. Speaking about visiting, we have a special visitor with us right now, and it is Jason Lady. Hi, Jason Lady. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be back, Pat. Good to be back.
It is good to have you back here to talk some Spider-Man and some X-Men with us. So
I'm pumped. These are 2 of my favorite comic series of all time. So when you said these are the issues we were talking about, I was like, I am there. I am there. Even if I wasn't there at the right time initially. I was at 9 p.m. Eastern time where I live, sitting there ready to go. My notes, my
Jason
water.
was a little overexcited for this.
I was prepared. I was like, had this sinking feeling after like got to like 9:05. Hey, wait a minute. Went back in my string of messages with Pat and said, "Oh, Central Time. Okay, I guess I'll wait an hour." So better early than never.
Gave you a chance to reread and go over your notes one more time.
Exactly. I'm better prepared for it. So, that was my plan all along.
Well, we are glad to have you here. And Jason is a Crusader Club member, and that's how he got the chance to be on the show. When we put the call out on the Crusaders Club, Jason replied back and said, yeah, I want to be on one of these shows along with other people that are in the club members. And speaking about those people that are in the club members, we have some in the super secret chat that I don't even know about are in the chat right now, watching us do a live behind the scenes recording as we do this one. So we do appreciate them all for being here as well. And we will get some of their comments as we go. If you didn't get a chance to join us, you can also leave a voicemail that we may play later on in the show. You can leave us a message at 707-532-5269. That's 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the phone. It's more reliable than chat. It's your private number.
Now, before we get started with this episode's issues, let's go ahead and take a quick podcast promo break, and we will be right back.
Alexander Hamilton, Aaron Burr. If you're a history lover or a musical lover, you probably know about both Hamilton and Burr's rise to power in the early stages of American history and their infamous duel. But what if you didn't know the full story? What if one of them was a werewolf? White Rocket Entertainment proudly presents a 48-page full-color comic book, Hamilton vs. Burr, A Werewolf Tale. Written by Jared Albrecht, the yard sale artist, art by Nate Niles, colors by Ace Wheely and Ken Solomon, letters by Percival Constantine, and edited by Johanna Albrecht. Hamilton vs. Burr, A Werewolf Tale. Available digitally on Kindle and Comics Central, COMIX Central. Prefer a print copy? Hamilton vs. Burr, A Werewolf Tale, along with my other published works, are available at theyardsaleartist.bigcartel.com. That's theyardsaleartist.bigcartel.com. Or you can buy it directly from me, creator Jared Albrecht, the yard sale artist, at any of my Comic-Con appearances. Hamilton vs. Burr, A Werewolf Tale. Get your copy today. You won't regret it. Don't take my word for it. Here's what Ming Chen from AMC's TV series Comic Book Men had to say about it.
I really enjoyed it. A lot of great werewolf scenes in here. A lot of great... this is how I wish history would be told to kids. Books like Hamilton vs. Burr, A Werewolf Tale.
That's Hamilton vs. Burr, A Werewolf Tale.
Welcome back from the break. Now let's get to the first featured comic for this episode. It is Amazing Spider-Man 222. The credits for this issue are provided by Mike's Amazing World of Comics website. The publisher was Marvel. It's got a cover date of November 1981. Its on-sale date was August 4th, 1981. Cover price is 50 cents. Editor is Thomas P. DeFalco. Superstar. Writer is Bill Matlow. Pencilers is Bob Hall. Inks go to Jim Mooney. Letterer is Rick L. Parker.
Boo.
He ain't afraid no inks. Or he ain't afraid no letters. I got my Ghostbuster. Never mind.
That's Ray Parker Jr.
Yeah, well, Rick L. Parker.
I thought the same thing when I read the credits. So don't feel bad.
I didn't think of Pat. You should feel awful.
I do, Dylan, I do. Colorist is Ben Shawn. This is reprinted in Essential Spider-Man Volume 10 trade paperback, or also under the Marvel Masterworks Volume 283 of Amazing Spider-Man Volume 21 hardcover. Cover credits go to Walter Simonson. And speaking about the cover, Jarrett, give us a cover description.
I'm on it. So I'm headed for the banner. Oh, Marvel Comics Group banner has been hijacked on this cover because the readers now have an option to win a 10-speed bike. And that banner is red with yellow lettering. Spider-Man flounders in his disturbed yellow corner box, and it's on my mind. The Amazing Spider-Man title is green with black highlights, and Spider-Man holds on to the letter P for dear life. It's like nothing really matters. The webs of the logo are being torn apart, and even the Comics Code Authority stamp is being blown about. But I've got to be on time. Anyway, all this play with the title dressing is made fun because of the main action. The villain of the book is Captain Marvel. Wait, check that. Speed Demon. He's creating a tornado vortex and it's tossing everything around the cover, including Spidey himself. You know, everything's being thrown around except for that 10-speed bike banner. It's unmoved and it's not really part of the fun at all. Isn't that right, Jason?
Correct.
Jarrett, thank you for that clever wordage of cover. I don't get...
Don't get Jarrett, don't give it away.
I won't give it away.
There may be a repeat coming in the synopsis.
I had this distinct feeling. I was like, we've done that before.
Yes, except
Janet Jackson song.
Yeah, except you did Cat Scratch Fever and I did Black Cat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you were like, what the heck was I thinking? Black Cat was right there. Well,
anyway, more to come.
All right. Well, now I'm intrigued and I want to know more about what's going to happen, which...
I wonder if anybody in the chat sussed it out.
I don't know. I can't see it. So I don't know. Well, with that, while we contemplate on if anybody in the chat knows what Jarrett was alluding to, let's go ahead and find out from Jason Lady. What's your thoughts on the cover?
I like it. I think it's eye-catching. Speed Demon is a villain who has a special place in my heart. He was in the very first Marvel comic that I ever got when I was a kid, Amazing Spider-Man 280. So when I see him on the cover or something, I'm always like, "Oh, Speed Demon, cool." To your points from the description, it's really eye-catching how everything except the bicycle contest ad, is being blown around and tossed. I think it's really creative. And I like how the primary colors of Spidey and Speed Demon are like standing out against the gray and the black and the white and everything. And Speed Demon's speed is being illustrated in that way that only comic books can do, really, where you see multiples of him and most of them are like lightly colored and kind of faded out. And there's one of him that is like the one at that moment when the camera, so to speak, took its photo, right? That is the actual Speed Demon. And the others are just the blur, him moving so fast. He's appearing in more than one place at once. So I think it's really eye-catching. You kind of want to know what's going on. I got to imagine at the time, since he was brand new, everybody's like, who the heck is this that Spidey's fighting, and wanting to know more. So that is my evaluation of the cover.
All right. Well, thank you. And I was kind of like Jared. I was like, is that Marvel? What's going on? And because I didn't know who the Speed Demon was until I read it. So this
Apparently
is
we're going to see him again in 280.
Oh, I guess so. I guess we will. So
he's also in Marvel Team Up, and it's I think it's Human Torch and Spidey and Frogman actually against Speed Demon, which is a lot of fun. It's a really fun issue. In fact, I was a little disappointed because I thought this was that issue with Frogman. It wasn't, but that's still okay. It's still okay with me. It's cool. Still fun.
All right. Well, good to know, and some little bit of history of the Speed Demon right there. So we heard from Jason. Let's go ahead and hear from Delvin.
Yeah, I like it. It is a likable cover. And then I was like, who drew it? And I looked and I saw that very familiar Simonson, like with the big O and like crushing, like at first that's like super creative. So if he thought of that or somebody gave him an idea, it was a good idea or from somebody. And it's a good cover because obviously Walt Simonson is a comic book legend and he came like in pinch hit with a great cover. Love the idea of everything kind of being blown asunder. Spidey, the logo, he's holding on to the logo for dear life, even the cover box and everything. And Speed Demon is a visually good villain. By all rights, I'd say maybe B or C list. He's not an A-list Spidey villain, but he is one that comes around and kind of gives Spidey a little bit of trouble from time to time. So good cover, legendary artist. I liked it.
Yeah, I also agree. And with how it looks, I like that they played with the Amazing Spider-Man logo and how it's kind of discombobulated there. It looks really cool. Jarrett, what's your thoughts on the cover?
I like how they played with the Amazing Spider-Man logo there. It's discombobulated, and I think that's really cool.
Really cool. Really cool.
No, echo what everybody else said. What really makes it fun, I mean, it's already a decent drawing, but what makes it fun is what they did with the trade dress. And if they'd thrown around the UPC label a little bit and the 10-speed bike thing, it might have been even more fun.
That would have been fun.
But it is very fun. I like the way that Spider-Man is, like I think Delvin said, holding on to the logo. He's holding on to that P, and I've had to hold on to a P before. For you know what? That's not. Anyway, it's a good cover.
Didn't that guy used to be called the Wizard too? That's kind of funny.
Yes, I see. I get that one now. Wizard, he said, because of that. Oh, you know what? I can't depend on which one I like. Do I like the P?
It depends. It depends.
Yes. I went there. Anyway, speaking about going there, let's go to Jason, the Weasel Skull. What's your thoughts?
I agree with what everybody said. I think this is obviously it's a very kinetic cover. It seems I couldn't draw it, but it seems like it would be somewhat easy to do just because you really just have to draw that one Spider-Man and just that clever pose of him holding on for dear life onto his own title is funny. And there's not a lot of background or anything. It's just kind of a lot of ink work and a lot of just that vortex effect. And then several, a Speed Demon running around in circles there. So it seems like it's fairly simple to do, but very effective and really kind of describes the kind of energy and action that you're going to get inside the book, which I obviously appreciate. And I still don't like the little bike logo thing. You're right, Jared. It would be funny if the bike was like getting sucked into the vortex too, or if like the Spider-Man in the corner box is like holding on to the corner box, like trying to stay in the corner box. That would have been funny too.
Just so our listeners know, like way back when like Jason first joined the LONGBOX Crusade, we did a For Your Eyes Only James Bond, and I think it had a 10-speed on it. And that's where his hatred for that ad started. And so when I saw, we're in that era again, I got so excited so Jason could be salty about the 10-speed ad again.
Yeah. Oh, man.
We all hate this era with the 10-speed. I remember going, getting back issues and being like, that again? Really?
I feel like somebody out there in the podcast community like did the research to find out about like who.
I was going to ask that. Yeah, I can't remember.
I feel like
who won the bike. Did anybody actually win the bike?
I feel like somebody out there either on X or it might have been a fellow podcaster actually did the deep dive research and found out. But I'll be danged if I can remember it now because it was years ago when we first discussed it.
Well, hopefully they enjoyed it, right? Hopefully they enjoyed the stupid bicycle for all the anguish we put up.
I want them to still be riding it to this day.
I think it's like Aliens versus Predator. Whoever won, we lost.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into some ratings for this issue. Again, as a reminder, it is a 1 through 5 rating here for the Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles. 5 is you loved it. It tickled your tummy feathers. 4, you really liked it. 3, you liked it. 2, you didn't like it. And 1, you hated it. It ruffled your tummy feathers and stole your bike.
Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Ugh. Nothing worse than you can't even ride home after feeling bad. You have to walk home with your tummy feathers all kerfuffled. Oh, Jason, lady, tell us what you would rate this cover.
I would rate it a 4. I really liked it. I think it would stand out if I saw it on a shelf. I think it would stand out if I was, flipping through a long box and came across this one. In fact, I think it did back in the day when I was trying to fill out my Spidey collection. I don't own this issue anymore, but I remember I had it. And, probably from the presence of Speed Demon, but as well as just this cover jumping out at you. One note I have is that it looks different than probably 9 million other Spidey covers. So kudos to, Walt Simonson for making something that illustrates Speed Demon's power and stands out, from other comics.
That's a good take on it. This does stand out and is different from what we have previously seen. Jarrett, 1 through 5.
I'm very solid at a 4, which I believe is what Jason Lady just gave it. I think it's really great. Like Jason Albrecht said a minute ago, the drawing's not super complex, but playing with that trade dress really just bumps it up. So yeah, I'm very, very happy at a 4, tempted to a 5, but Speed Demon just, not my guy.
Yeah. You'd say he's a 1 on the speed side of your 10-speed bike.
Yeah, he's not the top gear.
Yeah. Delvin.
I'll read first some comments from the super secret audience that you can't read. They love this cover, guys. Auburn Elvis said very plaintively, it's a 5, period. And was upset that anybody else spoke otherwise. So
that's not like him.
Right. Matt Passo says, I give the cover a 5, bump it to a 6 because of the banner. Woo. So, yeah.
These two guys probably won the bike somehow.
Maybe.
We found them. We've identified them.
Kathy, MVP, gives it a 5 also because she says she loves Twister. So she gave it a 5. And Sean Urbanski gave it a 4. And I am along with Sean Urbanski. Wait, one more. Tim Price gave it a 5. Novelty factor is excellent. So the audience, the watching audience loves it. I give it a 4 along with Sean Urbanski and Jason Lady and Jared Albert. I give it a 4. It's good. It's real good. Like, am I putting it on my wall? No. And that to me is the difference in the criteria. Like, I find 5 covers to be wall worthy, and I would not put this on my wall, even though it is a very, very, very good cover. And as the listening or watching audience said, and I think we agree, it does stand out. It is a distinctive cover. It's good. All
right. Jason, the Weasel Skull, where are you going to sit?
I think I'm going to boat anchor this one. I'm going to be at a 3. I like it. Ooh. It just doesn't really speak to me. I mean, it's gimmicky. There are gimmicks, and then the gimmicks work until you anchor it down with that bike ad.
There we go. So, that's what I was looking for.
To me,
there's that anger. Yeah, let it rise. Let it rise into you, and
let the hate flow through you.
The hate flow through you.
I knew Jason was going to be taking like 2 points off of this cover for this banner.
Well, I mean, I still like it. It's just not. It's not one of the top ones for me.
The anger is strong in that one. Oh man. Well, I don't want to be like Jason, so I want to be like Jason. I'm going to be it at a 4. So it is 4 cool guys. And a lot of people have seen the super secret with the 5s and 1 3 jump sitting back on his 3-speed bike with the banana seat.
Hey man, the banana seat comes in handy when you're transporting your buddies, man.
I know. Who hasn't had a bike with a banana seat, man? We all like that. It was fun. Bikes were fun back then. They're so cool. All right. Well, with that, let's go ahead and get into the synopsis. And that is brought to you by Delvin. While attending a demonstration in radiology, high school student Peter Parker was bitten by a spider which had accidentally been exposed to radioactive rays. Through a miracle of science, Peter soon found that he had gained the spider's powers and had, in effect, become a human spider, a Spider-Man.
Stanley presents The Amazing Spider-Man.
The title of this issue is Faster Than the Eye. We start with Spidey about to jump into action, stopping some criminals and then getting accused of being a menace. Typical Spidey stuff. But as he gathers his camera, he passes a camera store and the Spidey sense goes a-buzzing and out comes Speed Demon. Spidey tries to stop him, throwing punches that sound like ch. It's like a car speeding on the freeway. Spidey webs himself to the villain, and the villain basically turns himself into a cyclone, which has Spidey's mind like a compass, stopping at nothing. Spidey has no choice but to let go, and the bad guys escape. And while Pete was able to take some pictures, even that was a loss, because the only clear picture was a Speed Demon lording his win over Spidey. Yeesh. Pete is feeling some heat. It's on his back. Speed Demon is feeling himself, so he practically announces he's going to rob a Bloomingdale's. Pete shows up, and so does SD, and ain't nothing gonna stop him. Ain't no stop and go. Well, yeah, there is, because Spidey mapped the place out and let Speed Demon get all the way to the top floor, blocked all the exits except one that SD runs through some newly formed webbing, only to get tripped up and knocked the F out by ye old friendly neighborhood. Pull over, boy, and get your ticket right. The adventure ends with JJJ throwing away Pete's photo of Spidey triumphant over Speed Demon, because who the F needs that? Not JJJ. Back to you, Pat.
I love it. I love it when we sync up. It's so rare.
We did, Jared. Like, as soon as I heard your, I was like, wait a minute.
I'm at a loss here, so I don't know. And
we gave a great hint when we talked about like the episode where I used Janet Jackson. In this case,
but I still don't get it. I don't know. It's got to be. Is it a rapper?
It's on my mind. Mirror. Got to be on time.
I don't know.
Speed Demon. Michael Jackson.
Speed Demon. Get some leeway. Speed Demon.
I don't know that.
Pull over, boy, and get your ticket right.
No,
I said, pull over, boy. I'm doing Jason. I'm going to do the whole song.
I haven't heard of it either, Pat, but now I want to.
I don't know Speed Demon by Michael Jackson's like, it's crazy popular.
I immediately thought of Speed Demon, Jared. See, Jared.
I didn't. You guys are.
I mean, I think it was on the Bad album. It was like a big hit in the 80s, and it had like the video with the claymation and.
I must have fell asleep then. I don't know. What? Honestly, I don't.
That's what hurts the most. The disrespect.
Hey, I'm not trying to disrespect. I just don't.
For what it's worth, A.U. Kathy says none of us know WTF y'all are talking about.
Okay,
so
good.
The kind of support we get from our Crusade Club,
right?
We got me and cool people in the chat that don't know nothing.
I'm with you too, Pat. So
when you guys get done watching this, BS that we put together, then head over to YouTube, Speed Demon, Michael Jackson. Enjoy yourself. It's a great song.
I just pulled it up on Pandora. It's legit. It's a real song. I never.
He checked it. He checked us like Jared and Delvin made this up.
Yeah.
We would just make up a song and put Michael Jackson on it. I think, what are we?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe
DJ Pat doesn't know.
I know. That's why
favorite imaginations. Who knows?
I know. Believe it or not.
Or it was by someone else, not Michael Jackson. It was by Ray Parker Jr. I don't know.
I'm going to have to lose the DJ. I guess I'm done. There goes it. I can't be a DJ no more. I'm done.
Now, Steve Cronin in the chat. I think it was on the Bad album.
My parents just sent the note. I can't use the DJ anymore. So, sorry. Wait a minute. Maybe that's Delvin's handwriting. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to the bric-a-brac for this. Is it a first read or a reread? Let's go ahead and ask Jason Lady.
I think I tipped my hand earlier when I said I had this as a back issue back in the day. But yes, this was a reread for me, although I had not read it in a very, very long time.
Jarrett, is it a reread?
He already ruined it, so it doesn't matter that it's a reread for me as well. I had this one in my back issue bin, and but much like him, I remembered almost nothing about it.
Delvin.
It matters, Jared. It matters.
The rainbow was already broken.
Delvin?
It's a first read for me, Pat. It's a first read for me. I know how to do these things. It is a first read.
You do, Delvin. Jason.
It's a first read for me as well, Pat.
And it is a first read for me, so you know what that means. Woo! Ooh.
Nothing.
Pull over, boy, and get your ticket right.
Well, Someday we'll get it.
I'm very sad we don't get to sing
The
Reading
Dreamers
Rainbow.
movie. Yeah.
Someday we'll find it.
The
The rainbow connection.
The lovers, dreamers,
Podcast gives you all of everything. Michael Jackson, Kermit the Frog. We got
cover it all. We cover it all.
multiple
Speaking-
genres. Yes.
Speaking about covering it all, let's go ahead and find out some high, lows, or what the, and we'll start with Jason Lady again. Give us a high or a low.
So a high for me reading this was, I think it's page 10, and it is Speed Demon, Living the Good Life. Oh, man. I was looking at his setup, and I thought it was awesome. I'm just going to go down the checklist here. East Side Penthouse, comfy chair. There's a beverage next to him. Magenta robe. Wearing a magenta bathrobe. Surrounded by art and potted plants. What more do you need? It's wonderful. It looks awesome. Speed Demon knows how to live. So that's a high for me, just seeing Speed Demon just chilling and enjoying himself. Most supervillains don't take the time to enjoy the finer things, and he does. I was envious.
Yeah, he does got a pretty cool setup going on. Well, it sounds like he's been around too with the introduction that they kind of gave him and where he was from. So
Kind of previous career, he was a chemist, and
Yep.
I forget always that the Grand Master of all people is involved in the origin of Speed Demon.
If they didn't drop that nugget, I was like, what?
Well, like you guys said earlier, he's like a B-list, C-list Spider-Man villain, and it's like, really? Cosmic being, elder of the universe, like created this guy?
What?
Seriously? It's been an off day for the Grandmaster, yeah. You picked this chump to have super speed? Yeah. So, yeah, that kind of blew me away. I was like, I forgot about that little tidbit about Speed Demon. But all that to say, though, yeah, he is living the good life, and I was there for it. I was like, oh, yeah.
cool, very cool. Jared, high, low, or what the?
Didn't read it, Pat, but I'll make some guesses.
Okay.
You know what made me smile immediately? And it should make you smile too, Pat, because you've met him and Delvin's met him and
Mhm.
Weasel Skull's met him.
Yep.
Bob Hall, pinch hitting on this. Like he sat right next to me at a Heroes Con 2 cons ago, and he wasn't too far away last time either. It was like catty corner from me. And
Mhm.
what a nice guy. Bob Hall's a nice guy. He's one of those guys that I think is really good at doing the pinch hit. You know, you just kind of bring him in and he cranks out some good quality. You know, it's not our usual Spidey artists. I feel like we flirted with Ramita for a while, but we've kind of been all over the map lately. I feel like.
Mhm.
But seeing Bob Hall's name in there and knowing that Bob's just this real solid, you know, crank it out. Dude's worked on G.I. Joe and Spider-Man and Batman. It's just everything. He's just an everything artist. And so that made me smile. You know, again, clearly he's a filler and that's okay. But, you know, he's a cool dude. So I smiled myself, Bob Hall on the art.
Yep. Every time I see Bob Hall, I think he can do it all. And he does. He comes together with everything. So it's really nice to see him.
He did some neat Spidey poses and some neat action stuff. And I want to talk about Bill Mantlo too, but we got a lot of guests here. So I'm going to shut up and let maybe somebody else pick it. If not, I'll pick it up in round 2.
Sounds good. And with that, we'll go to Delvin. High, low, or what the?
I guess this falls under what because it's not a high or a low. I mean, this is a cookie cutter Spidey story. Very cookie cutter. Like Spidey kind of jumps into action and then like they needed a couple of pages to burn. So he just beat some foes, then ran into Speed Demon, then lost to him, but then got smarter. Then he beat him. It was about as cookie cutter as it gets.
Yes.
I mean, good thing that I like Spidey. So, I mean, you know, I'm absolutely okay with that cookie cutter. But as I've ranted about in the past, I'm tired of this filler era of Amazing Spidey. There's clearly something that went on, and they even spoke to it in the letters page. I don't know if the letters page is in the Marvel Unlimited version or not, but like I have the original issue, and then in the letters page, Tom DeFalco comes on board and says, "Hey." Basically, it's like things have been a little bit sporadic, but like they're putting me as the editor in chief over all the Spidey books. And so I'm going to be doing all the coordination and things are going to get better. And it's going to be a bright, sunshiny day. And I'm like, yay.
Superstar.
So I'm glad for that. I'm grateful for that. And heck, it's 2/22. I know not very shortly, but like by the time we get to next year or so, Tom DeFalco is going to be writing Amazing Spider-Man. He's
Oh, wow.
eventually going to be telling like somebody like, all right, look, y'all step out of the way. I got this. But for now, he's already editor of this book and says he's going to be editor for the Spidey books for the foreseeable future. So he can do some coordination. He can coordinate. So there's that.
All right. Well, thank you for that added tidbit there. I really appreciate it. I was kind of wondering too. I was like you. I was getting like, man, I'm getting full on this filler, even though we got to, so you got to sometimes eat it. I still was getting full on it or just tired of it. It's like, oh, filler again. Oh, I want some meat and potatoes. I want something good. And speaking about something good, Jason, the Weasel Skull, you got high, low, or what the?
I'm going to go with a high again, and I'm kind of ripping off Jason Lady's original comment. It just so happens that I've been reading the Avengers Omnibus, the Roy Thomas. It's like volume 3. And so I got I know what the backstory is with Speed Demon because I just read it in the Avengers. So that was kind of cool. And seeing him here in the comic, I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Kind of like Jason was saying, it's just kind of fun because there's not a lot of depth to this guy. He's just like, I can run fast and steal things and you can't stop me. and that's what I'm going to do. And he just steals stuff and he puts it in his apartment. And he just enjoys life. And there's something, I don't know, just something kind of funny and fun about that.
I'm not taking over the world, No,
just wait, and he even says there, like, yeah, I just do it for the thrill of doing it. I'm not doing it to get all the, the stuff and all that. That's like, I don't really need all that stuff. I got a baller place. I got this baller jacket coat thing that I wear when I sit around and lounge around. I'm a cool guy.
If you remember a couple of years ago, Mysterio kind of did the same thing. He's like,
yeah, he did.
Yeah, I'm tired of all these grand capers. I'm just going to rob some old folks.
I'm going to the old folks home.
It's still their insurance.
$4,000 or $5,000.
And it's kind of like, you're going to be a supervillain.
I'm going to mix up their pills too. I'm going to mix them up so they won't even know.
Oh, the TV's out again when Matlock was supposed to be on. Oh, no. I'm a supervillain.
Oh, man. That'd be fun.
Matlock might be our last.
Oh, no. It was a 2-part 2. We're not going to be able to find out what happened. Oh,
no. That's bad.
Yeah, this one was it was an interesting story that made it fun with, just as you said, it was just a guy that I'm just out to do some criminaling, and that's what I'm doing. And Spider-Man can't stop me. And he couldn't.
It's like when you were a kid and they did those contests where you could win 2 minutes in a toy store and get all the toys that you want. It's like that, but with super speed.
Yes. Oh, man. Well, let's go ahead and go to the top of the round. Jason Lady, you getting a high, low, or what the?
This might be kind of a what the, and I thought about this. Page 4, Spider-Man is stopping the crooks that are holding up the armored car. One of them tries to escape in the armored car because I guess the engine was running and the door was open. So the guy actually tries to get away in the armored car. Spidey strings a web across an alleyway to stop the van. It stops the van. The guy is thrown from the vehicle through the windshield. So there's a PSA there, wear your seatbelt. But he's thrown through the windshield, and Spidey just kind of catches him, and then it looks like Spidey just kind of tosses the guy aside. Like this guy probably has a concussion. He probably got some broken bones. So he's just like,
yeah, because that's like reinforced glass. That's an armored car. That guy should probably be dead.
He went through arms first too, so like this is like all like just shattered.
He tossed them.
Notice that he totally is tossing them.
He tossed them on the minks that were all stolen.
Well, it's soft. Yeah,
that's a cart of minks. Yeah,
he probably kind of like, well, this guy. He's clearly dead.
Kind of a what the moment. I'm like, Spidey does not care. He's just like, hey, can you guys call the police? Bye. It's like, medical attention for this dude over here.
Hey, who knows? It might affect his karma.
Yeah.
So yeah, big what the for me. Lack of concern on Spidey's part for what this guy has gone through there. Some pretty traumatic injuries this guy probably has. And Spidey's just like, bye.
That is a fun moment there. Jarrett, you got a high, low, or what the for this round?
I'm going to go with the high. Like I said, I want to talk about Bill Mantlo. One thing I forgot to mention about Bob Hall and when I was glowing him up in the last round was, man, he did some really complex New York City backgrounds in his panels, which was really impressive to me. So I just want to throw that in there. Lots of cool, very New Yorky stuff, which I'm sure he was like, this is going to look awesome. His inker was like, because I have been there. But anyway, let's talk about Bill Mantlo. When I saw his name at the front, okay, so I opened up and I see Bob Hall and I go, hey, I know Bob. He's a cool guy. And I'm excited to see Bob in here. And then I see Bill Mantlo and I like Bill Mantlo, but I know him from two books, really. I know him from ROM and I know him from Sectars. And both of them are really, what's a good word? Claremontian. And, you know, you've read a little
wordy,
ROM.
Yeah, a little ROM.
Well wordy,
well
written.
Yeah.
Jason. And Jason's not wrong. Like, maybe a little wordy, maybe a little melodramatic. So when I saw him, I was like, ooh, how is he going to fit on Spidey? And I was so surprised at how much fun Mantlo was clearly having. There's a lot of puns. There's a lot to choose from for silly Spidey moments. And your Spidey's very funny under Bill Mantlo's pen and not overly wordy. Like I said, this is clearly what we talked about is filler. They probably just said, hey, you know, who's not working today? Mantlo, Hall, do something with Speed Demon, you know, go. And get some sort of legend to do the cover. All right, we got it.
We got it.
It's like a Spidey version of Matlib.
It's like a jar. It's just like, yeah, Mantlo, you and Bob Hall, Speed Demon.
There you go. We got a comic.
Is Speed Demon on Inks? No, put Mooney on Inks. Make the story about Speed Demon. Anyways, but I was surprised. And again, I like Mantlo. I like Mantlo on ROM. He fits so well there. I like Mantlo on Sectars, which is a book that only I read. But I was worried how he was going to fit, and he's clearly having fun, and I think that showed through. So I found it to be enjoyable.
Yeah, I do agree with you on the humor on this one. It was just enough and not overly done. Speaking about humor, Delvin, you got a high, low, or what the?
I'll go with another what the. What's Speed Demon's name?
Speed Demon?
His actual name.
Mr. Demon?
They never said. Like, they explained his origin. They mentioned that, you know, I used to be the wizard. Now I don't want to be the wizard. I'm Speed Demon. It's like, sweet. What is your name?
They don't.
Showed him out of costume. But they didn't say his
There's going to be a race in the chat to let us know.
I just found that somewhat funny. Because they usually go out of their way. Like, heck, they even, the twin fusion folks from a couple years back, they even gave them names. They did not give Speed Demon a name in this book, you know? I mean, and you just know it's going to be some speed pun or something like that.
According to Auburn Elvis, it's James Sanders.
I don't believe you. I don't believe Auburn Elvis either.
He might have ad-libbed some names. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I feel like the name of someone we could have met, you know?
But yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Did you say Fleetwood Mac or Fleetfoot Mac?
Fleetwood Mac.
Here you go again. Say you want your speed on. I'm not proud.
Yay, Stevie Nicks! Yeah.
Hey, we're hitting it all here. We're hitting it all.
Speed them.
So stupid.
Oh, Jason the Weasel Skull. Give us a high, low, or a what the?
Well, you guys are right that this is filler. And like you, I'm about ready to sink my teeth into a good story arc. I'm waiting with a bated breath. However, it was pretty good filler still. And I think the thing that I've grown to appreciate about Spider-Man, the characters we've done, 78 of these now, is, number one, he's got a really good, robust rogues gallery. And these rogues all are different, have different types of powers. And here we've got one that's got super speed. And I like that Spider-Man has to figure out a way to win, and this is a good book that shows that. Like, he kind of gets his tail handed to him the first go around.
Yeah.
And he picks himself up, he dusts himself off, and he figures out a way to win. And that's something that I've just really come to appreciate about the character, and is highlighted in this book, even though it is filler.
Definitely. And there are a couple different spots in the mall fight that go on where he kind of tricks him in different ways. Spider-Man does kind of tricks him in different ways to get to that final finale of catching him. I like when he puts down the olive oil down, and he's like, then you see that it kind of reminded like the Scooby Doo.
Kind of a Bugs Bunny effect, yeah.
Yeah. And again, that's awesome artwork that I knew what was happening there, and it was so cool to see. So yeah, hats off on this story. It was a pretty fun, good tale to tell. That was a one and done, I think. But it sounds like the last we heard of the Speed Demon. We'll hear of him again pretty soon.
Speed Demon does return. Yeah.
Oh.
Did Marvel team up?
Oh, with that, does anybody have any other high, low, or what that you just need to rip off your chest to tell us about this one?
I do like, it's kind of a high. It's on page 21, all the way at the end when Peter goes back to the Bugle with the photo that Jameson rejects. You notice on the bulletin board, there's a sign that says no dawdling, and it's the signature's JJJ under that. Every workplace needs a no dawdling sign up on the wall. Just had to point that out.
That's a good one. See, that's the thing in this one. You had some good stuff, and you had some hidden stuff that were funny as well for silly Spidey moments. So thinking about that, let's go ahead and roll into silly Spidey moments and find out what was your silly Spidey moment in this one. And we'll go to Jason with the Weasel Skull this time.
Oh, wow. I get to go first?
Yeah, you get to go first.
I think the one that got me laughing out loud, and I'm sorry, I don't have the comic in front of me, so I don't remember what page it is, but it is the reveal of the photo that J. Jonah Jameson loves of the wizard. And it's just like Spider-Man just like looking all beat. He's like, you've got Speed Demon standing there with his hands on his hips. He's like got his balls all in Spider-Man's face. It's just like I just was rolling laughing. And J. Jonah James is like, I'll pay top dollar for this. And old Peter's like, oh man, I really need the money. I just thought that was so funny.
That was a good one, definitely. Let's go to Delvin.
Sometimes I'm my own worst enemy.
Let's go ahead and go to Delvin. You got a silly Spidey?
Sure. After and during the fight scene with Speed Demon, where he had him sliding and he's sitting there singing, and Speed Demon's like, "You're crazy, you know that?" And once I catch my breath, and he's like, "I've been meaning to talk to you about your breath."
Yeah, oh, that was mine.
And sprayed him with all of that
perfume.
Yeah, like man, I have been to. I'm not going to remember the place. It was some mall in London, and you walk through, and there were so many perfumes in there. It was like mustard gas or something. You're just like, oh my God. It was too much. So I can imagine just getting like a snoot full of like just a whole bunch of spray like Spidey put in his face. It would disorient you because it's just so much. It's just offensive to the senses.
Yeah. I could definitely, unless it was Jakar, I would like that. Or Brute. I like a Brute. Look, I was a Brute guy for a while when I was a young man. That's all you could afford was Brute.
I mean, you're married now and kids, so it had to work. Yeah,
that's true. No, you know.
Yeah, Melinda was like, "Oh, I love your fruit." And you're like,
yeah, she's like, "Ooh, what's that? That's just me, baby." Anyway, a little too deep in the woods. With that, let's go and find out. Jarrett, what's your silly Spidey?
I'm going to go back to the same page that Jason Lady brought us to when Spidey casts what's probably a dead body aside. But like he saves the day for the furs, which is not a term I've ever really used. And they're immediately like, yo, what are you up to? You're a menace and all that. And Spidey says, and I quote, I'm going to count to 10 very slowly. I'm going to swing away before I tell you where you can stuff your furs. I was like, Spidey. I think he was talking about their butts.
Yes.
You can put this mink up your stink.
I can always count on my brother. I'm here I gotta get a follow up for this joke. My brother's like, no, I got you.
I got you back. Let me wipe up after you here. Anyway, before we get any more, Jason Lady, go ahead and tell us what your silly Spidey is.
Sure. When Peter first goes to the Daily Bugle and he shows the pictures to Jameson, and most of them, Jameson's like, it looks like Spider-Man swinging at nothing. There's nothing there but a blur. And Peter's like, oh, I forgot to look at the pictures before I didn't look at the pictures before I brought them in. It's like, You didn't check them out before you tried to like sell them, Peter. You didn't give them a glance, like nothing.
What?
You just developed them and brought them in. Like back then,
He had the
could you even
swagger
develop them?
coming in too. He's like, "Oh, to the rescue! Here comes Pete."
What do
he's
you
all
do
like-
for a living again, Peter?
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure he has to develop them in a dark room at this stage, right? Of photography, just the technology that was available to him at the time. So it's like, how did you not see your own photo?
There's like a sexy picture of like Betty Brant slipped in there. Like,
Yeah.
what the what? Oh, my bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gloria. My goodness.
Lori Grant? Yeah.
Debbie Whitman. What?
What?
Oh, man.
Marcy Kane? Anyway, sorry. Obscure love interest of Peter. We could go on forever. But anyway, yeah, I'm like, Peter, you moron. Seriously.
Oh, yeah. There was a lot to go through. But I like Delvin. I like that one where he had the bad breath joke, and that was pretty funny for me. I laughed out loud on that. Speaking about laughing out loud, let's go ahead and get to the ratings on this story. As a reminder, it's a 1 through 5 rating. 5 is you loved it. It tickled your tummy feathers. 4, you really liked it. 3, liked it. 2, didn't like it. And 1, you hated it. It ruffled your tummy feathers. And then you got ran over by a 10-speed bike.
Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Oh, Jason Lady, how would you rate this story?
I'm going to give it a 3 where I liked it. It's not a classic. It's not one that I remembered all these years later. In fact, I thought it was a different comic than it actually was. And, I was kind of like relearning, the issue as if I had never read it, even though I had. So it didn't stick with me, but it is a solid, just fun action story. It's kind of like the equivalent of, maybe a summer action movie that you're not going to remember a year later, but entertained you at the time. It had good action scenes in it, not much plot going on, but I do like it. I think, Delvin, you alluded to this. One of you alluded to this, where Spidey outsmarts the villain at the end. I always love when Spidey uses his brains and his wits and his cunning to defeat somebody, doesn't just outpower them or outpunch them. So I really enjoyed that. And Speed Demon's a good kind of smug, kind of jerk villain. You're kind of waiting to see him get his comeuppance, and he does. So, entertaining for what it is, but I would give it a 3. Because it's not a classic, not an all-timer, not one you're going to remember later.
All right. I can respect that. Jarrett, 1 through 5.
Man, I tell you what, if Joe November was here, I'd legit give it a 3.5. It's filler, but
He's
like
not here.
Jason Lady's saying, it's good filler. Like the smugness of Speed Demon, and then Spidey flipping that with all his little smug point you talked about when he was tripping on the oil. And Spidey's like smug, and he's always laid back poses and stuff. Like that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, when he was laid back on the escalator, like
kind of makes me wish Mantlo and Hall got more issues of Spidey because they're like doing really well. But at the end of the day, it is just filler, but it's really good filler. I'll land on the 3, but I'm winking at you 4. Like you came close, and to do that with a filler issue is very impressive. So it's almost like it got that 4 because it's filler. But I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it at 3.
Okay, all right. Delvin, are you with a 3, or are you gonna bump it up?
Before I get to that, few comments from the secret audience. Auburn Elvis says, it's a 5 with an exclamation point. And then anyone that dissented, he said, what? Come on. And he said their name. So he said, what? Come on, Jason. And he also said, what? Come on, Matt? Oh, wait, Matt Passo. Matt Passo, who said, I didn't read it, but it sounds like the banner didn't make another appearance after the cover. I give it a 2 because of that. That was what Matt Passo said, which is funny. Tim Price says a 4, an entertaining one and done. And Auburn Elvis did say, what? Come on, Tim. So, yep, there was that. And Sean Urbanski said it was a 4, fun story, action, good laughs. I am more in line with Jared. I am close to, it was a good filler issue, good art, good Spidey humor too. And so it's at that, that 3+ level. But since we can't say 3+, well, we can say 3+, but it's a 3. It's a high 3. It's a 3. So, yeah, that's where it's not a 3. It's not a 3. It's a 3. So there it is. High 3.
High 3.
Yeah.
Jason, do you have a high 3 or a low 3?
Yeah, I think I'm landing in the same spot as Delvin and Jared. I think it's a high 3 for me. probably the only thing that stops it from being a 4 is just timing, right? Because we've had so many filler issues. I think that I'm just ready for a good story arc. But it was fun. I don't regret reading this at all. It was a fun issue. Maybe doesn't have a lot of legacy in the canon, but still a lot of fun to read.
Well, boys, I am with you all at a 3, so come on, knock on that door. We are all at a 3 on this one. Pretty high 3s, I think, as well. I could speak for everybody. It's good filler, but like Jason said, I am just hungry for some good old spider story, one that's going to, pull me in again and get us interested even deeper.
We need some protein. We need some protein.
Yes, definitely. Well, I think we need some protein and we need some karma, and we need to count it up. And with that, let's go ahead and go into karma count from Auburn Elvis. Do we want to go and figure out who wants to take our guesses at the count?
I'm going to guess 50.
I won't even be cheap about it. I'll go, I think, relatively low. Like, he got a win, but there's a lot of property damage. So I'll go 40.
Jared?
I'll go a little high. I won't do the 51 thing to Jason. I'll say 60.
Jason, a lady?
I have to admit, I have no idea. Sorry.
Say a number.
I'll throw a number out there.
$1.
42.
42. All right. Well, I will go with 45. We'll see. I don't know how to play this at all either, but let's go ahead and listen in and see how the karma is counted.
I guess I'm your karma, and I love it. I can't get enough of it. There's nothing above it.
Hi Crusaders, this is Auburn Elvis. Have you ever wondered if superheroes can improve their strength by working out? Of course you have. Well, according to the 1984 Marvel superhero role-playing game, they can, but it ain't easy. In the game, heroes gain and lose karma points for how heroic their actions are. Karma can be saved up over time and spent to improve a hero's ability scores. Improving an ability costs 10 times its current score, so if Spider-Man wanted to improve his strength of a 42 or 41, it would cost him 400 karma. And to give you an idea of how long it would take Spidey to earn that much karma, here's the karma count for his actions in this issue. Amazing Spider-Man 222 starts off with Spidey foiling a fur coat robbery. He amazingly manages to avoid any property destruction while catching all the bad guys. That's a total of 30 karma. Good job, Spidey. Later, he encounters Speed Demon stealing a bunch of camera equipment in Herald Square. Unfortunately, Spidey is unable to stop the speedster's escape and does some property damage in the failed attempt. He loses 5 karma for the property damage, 40 for the public defeat, and another 5 for not stopping the theft. On the bright side, Peter is able to sell a photo of his humiliation to the Bugle, earning back 5 karma for doing his day job. The next day, Peter goes to Bloomingdale's, hoping to stop Speed Demon this time. As the villain begins cleaning out the store, Spidey saves a lady from falling off of an escalator. That gains 20 karma for the rescue. When Spider-Man finally engages Speed Demon, he's ready. Through a series of clever uses of the local surroundings, Webhead is able to not only defeat his foe, but does it with the kind of flair we've come to expect. He gets a total of 55 karma for beating a superpowered foe and for his eventual arrest. There was some property damage, but it's offset by how cool many of Spidey's tactics were in the battle, so no deductions there. And while Peter wasn't able to sell the photos of Spider-Man's victory, we're still going to give him 5 karma points for doing his job anyway. So adding all that up, Spider-Man earns a total of 65 karma in this issue, which isn't bad considering he suffered a very public defeat halfway through. If Webhead were to do this kind of thing 5 more times, he'd earn enough karma to improve his strength from a 40 to a 41. I'm Auburn Elvis. I'll thank you very much for listening to this karma count. Play us some of that sweet Bloomingdale's elevator music, Joe November.
I guess I'm your karma, and I love it. I can't get enough of it. There's nothing above it.
Karma counts down.
I can't believe he didn't deduct for the property damage and the. I want to recount.
Yeah. Wow, there you go. The karma count. Thank you, Auburn Elvis, for karma count. We appreciate it. And the cool, fun game that you've just made us play as we guess what the count is going to be.
Change my social media handles from Jared Albrecht, the RTL artist, to Jared Albrecht, Karma Count winner.
Winner, karma dinner.
Son of a gun.
He wins one of these, and then it's he's just going to carry it all year.
All year.
I hate that when people think that they win all the time, and then come to find out that you really don't. But I would never do anything like that.
You wouldn't, Pat.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Nope. Even if I went rogue, I wouldn't even do that. That's not the kind of guy I am. Anyway, that's going to bring us to the end of this part of the show. You got a comment or a question, send us an email at contact@longboxcrusade.com or make a comment on the Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook page, and we will be right back.
Greetings, podcast listener. My name is Charlie Niemeyer, and I host a show called Charlie's Geekcast, all about me and what I like. But mostly about what I like. 2020 marks a pretty special year for me. For one thing, I'll be turning 40 this year. But this year also marks 10 years since I started podcasting by talking about Superman's adventures in the Bronze Age. Coincidentally, this year also marks 50 years since Superman entered the Bronze Age. To celebrate all of this year I'll be doing a series of episodes called Geeking on Superman in the Bronze Age, where I'll be looking at some great Bronze Age Superman adventures that I didn't get around to the first time around. It's a lot of around. So check out Charlie's Geekcast, part of the Two True Freaks Internet Radio Network at twotruefreaks.com. Also, you can find the show at charliesgeekcast.com or wherever you get your podcast.
Welcome back from the break. Now let's get to the second featured comic for this episode, which is determined by our Crusader Club members. Club members get to vote on this segment using the online poll only available on the Longbox Crusade page at patreon.com. As always, we want to thank our Crusader Club members for voting to help determine the programming for this show. If you want to get in on the voting and all of the amazing benefits of being a Crusader Club member, Jared, how could they do that? And what would they get?
Just a reminder, if you're listening to this on podcast audio format, you hear all these comments and stuff going on. These are people in the super secret chat, which you can get in on over at patreon.com for as little as $1 a month and be in our super secret audience.
To do that, just remember to head on over to patreon.com and search for the Longbox Crusade. You can join for as little as $1 a month, and that will help determine what each episode's second feature will be. For this episode, the Crusader Club members selected Uncanny X-Men number 151. The credits for this issue are provided by Mike's Amazing World of Comics website. Publisher was Marvel. Its cover date was November 1981. Its on sale date was August 11th, 1981. Cover price was 50 cents. Editor was Luis Simonson. Writer is Chris S. Claremont.
Esquire!
Still doing it. Penciler is James T. Sherman. Inkers go to Bob McLeod and Joseph Rubenstein. Letters is Tom Orzakowski, and the colorist is the Bonnie Wilford.
What?
Bonnie Wilford.
Did you, like, Pat, sometimes there's some reading difficulties and is lost in translation. Did you mean to say Glennis Wayne?
Well, Delvin, I said Bonnie Wilford.
Son of a...
You can read along with this in X-Men Classic 55 from 1991 or Essential X-Men Volume 3 trade paperback. It's also in the Marvel Masterworks Volume 151 of the Uncanny X-Men Volume 7 hardcover, or the Uncanny X-Men Omnibus Volume 2, or the X-Men Epic Collection I Magneto. And the covers for this are done by Dave Cockrum, is the penciler, and inker is Joseph Rubenstein. Speaking about the cover, Jarrett, give us a cover description.
Sure thing, Pat. The Marvel Comics Group banner has been hijacked on this cover because readers now have the option to win a 10-speed bike. And that banner is green with black lettering. The corner box is white, and it holds the floating heads of Wolverine, Colossus, Dawson, Storm, Kitty Pryde, Pacey, Nightcrawler, Joey, and Cyclops. The Uncanny X-Men logo is yellow with red highlights. And remember that awesome cover where Cyclops left the team to take a break from the X-Men? Proud warrior walking away with his duffel bag. It's kind of like that if this was more of an early 2000s teen drama on the CW network. We get teary-eyed Kitty Pryde lugging her suitcase as she walks away, trots away, saunters away, I don't know, from the X-Men and their manor. Yes, the drama of the angsty teen who's been a key part of this team for like 6 issues now, and I think I'm being generous. She's front and center, bringing you that existential anguish. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, Jared, you're just being a cynical adult. You're supposed to read this when you're a kid. Well, I did read these angsty issues when I was a kid, and even then I was bitter and cynical. Jason can confirm this. You know what else he can confirm? He's going to let us know what he thinks of that 10-speed bike ad on the cover.
Indeed.
I don't want to wait for our lives to be over. I want to know right now, will it be?
Thank you. Yes, Jared. Thank you for that Dawson Creek reference that we have there.
Thank you for picking it up.
It took me a little bit, but then I got it. I'm like, I got it.
You should be super impressed because I've never actually seen it. I had to do some look. I had to look at those names on Google. I was like, I need character names from Dawson's Creek. I mean, I knew Dawson, right? That's an easy one.
I was going to say, did you have to look up Dawson? Yeah.
No, that one I got off the bat. I won't lie, but I was like, who are the other main characters?
I thought the Creek's name was just Dawson. I didn't know there was a character Dawson.
I don't know.
Fair enough. It could have been. Yeah.
I had a running joke back in college that if it were set in the South, it'd be called Dawson's Creek.
Yeah, true.
Let's go ahead and get some cover thoughts on this. We'll go to Jason Lede. What's your thoughts on the cover?
Yeah, like Jared said, this is an allusion to another X-Men cover where Cyclops was leaving the team. And at the time, we would not know it, but this would be homaged over and over again over the course of X-Men history. But I think at the time, if you recall the Cyclops cover, this would be kind of rewarding. Like, it's kind of a callback to that with a different character leaving the team. There's stuff I like about this cover. I like the details. I like how her suitcase is so heavy. She has to hold it with 2 hands. She's a kid, so she's kind of like dragging that thing. I think it's pretty realistic.
Super strong teammates aren't helping her at all.
That's true.
This is my rest day.
Her muscular Russian boyfriend who can probably, bench press a car, is just standing there watching her struggle. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, see you later, Kitty.
Sucks to be you.
I pick things up and I put them down, but not today.
Yeah, now I am sad. I cannot lift anything when I am sad. Yeah. So that's a good point. Even little details like she's got her little Star of David necklace. John Byrne drew her that when she first appeared. It's still there. It's nice that Cockrum threw that on there. I think Cockrum's the cover artist here. There's a couple weird things here. So one of them is Kurt doesn't really look like he's sitting on that railing. I like the detail of his tail wrapped around the railing, but he doesn't really look like he's actually sitting there. He's kind of floating. So there's that. And then since when does Xavier's mansion have a porch? It's a mansion. This looks like a suburban house to me. So those are my only kind of quibbles with it. But overall, I think it's eye-catching. You wonder what's going on. What the heck is happening here? Why is Kitty leaving the team? Everybody looks so sad. You kind of want to know what's going on. And then it has that caption there. The day Kitty Pryde leaves the X-Men is the day the X-Men fall. So there you go.
I'm sorry.
We'll go to Delvin. What's your thoughts on the cover?
Just want to tell Jared, you didn't watch any of Dawson's Creek, but you'd be interested to know that much like you always say about Kitty Pryde, none of their dialogue sounded like teenagers, at all. They never did. At one point, it's you're trying to demonize me. I'm like, no, teenagers don't know.
We need to wrap this up. I have a 401k meeting to get to.
My stock portfolio is down right now. Anyway.
She's an old soul. That's why when the New Mutants came along, they let her stay on the X-Men because she's an old soul.
Yeah, you would think that she would belong with the New Mutants. But anyways, yeah.
She's grandfathered in. Yeah.
Grandfather. She is it's a good cover. It definitely has some emotion. It was an interesting choice for Dave to show Colossus not in armored form, but just in regular old Petey Rasputin form. And for whatever reason, I look at it and Nightcrawler just looks like he's like, bye. He looks like he couldn't care less necessarily that Kitty is walking away with that heavy suitcase, almost looking barefoot, even though I can tell that there's shoes on, leaving. So yeah, I mean, good cover, emotional cover. Looking at some of the comments that were said, Matt Passo had a lot of things to say about the 10-speed racer. And back to you, Pat.
Speaking about the 10-speed racer, let's go to Jason and get his thoughts on the 10-speed racer.
It's good.
Well, here we go again. You've got a really good cover that's drawn by a great artist in Dave Cockrum. And, they ruined the top, 10% of it with that 10-speed racer ad. Why do they need to put that on? I don't know. I don't get it. But the rest of the cover, I think, looks pretty solid. Obviously, we're in the Kitty Pryde arc, right? The last several issues have been very Kitty Pryde centric. We're still trying to establish this character, and we know she will be established. She will become an iconic X-Men. And this is one of the, this is one of the issues that it starts that journey. So it makes you want to read it. Why is she leaving? She's obviously sad. She's, tears coming down her face. Obviously, the team doesn't want her to go, except for maybe Nightcrawler, who does, looking like Johnny Ringo back on the porch. Smells like someone died.
Well, bye.
So, but it is something that's kind of eye catching, and it does make me want to pick up the issue, and we can just kind of chop off that 10-speed racer thing on the top.
Maybe we can cut it out and send it in, and maybe if you had send in 10 of these, you would get into the 10-speed racer drawing to win it.
But if I had sent it off and, we're waiting for results, I don't want to wait for hours to be over.
10-speed racer.
Pat, go ahead. We're running long. We're getting
yeah. We got to get the people to bed here. Jared, what's your thoughts on the cover?
Well, I kind of, tip my cards a little bit. It's teen angsty, and my whole problem with it is, like, they really want us to care that she's leaving. I'm like, she's been in like maybe 4 issues, like, as a key player. I said 6 in my write-up, but I said being a little generous. So I'm like, okay, she didn't even have a good costume yet. Her best costume so far has been the trainee costume. I think what we're seeing here is very, very clearly, the Teen Titans book hit the spinners in 1980. And we're now in 81. And I think they're like, hey, you've done some good work here, Chris, and X-Men is a strong Marvel title, but we got to get those Teen Titans numbers. So let's crank up that teen bit. Let's get that teen thing going. And I'm like, I was cynical about it then. I'm cynical about it now. I will say one of the smartest things they've done on this cover, as far as its layout and all that, if you have to have the 10-speed bike ad, then at least they use the same color as it in the background, so it blends a lot better than it does in a lot of other issues.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Its blend here is better than most, and they use that green, which is kind of cool because it really pushes the X-Men and the X-Men characters themselves and the title.
The logo, yeah.
Yeah, really well. So, yeah, I mean, artistically, it's Cockrum. So I'm not going to take anything away from the art. It's just the concept of it. I'm like, okay. I see what we're doing here. We're trying to catch up with Teen Titans. I got it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. That color that is used makes the X-Men title really stand out. And I like how it's kind of shrunken down and kind of right behind Kitty and kind of in between Kitty and the house that she's leaving, if it's a house or whatever have you. But the art is very well done on the characters. You can definitely tell this is Cockrum doing a really fine job on it. With that, let's go ahead and get into the cover ratings. As a reminder, that's a 1 through 5 cover rating for this issue. 5 is you loved it. It gave you a ring to swing from. 4, you really liked it. 3, liked it. 2, didn't like it. And 1, you hated it. It turned you into a baby. And you're going to grab your suitcase and you're going to leave. That's right, baby. You leave.
She's clearly stolen some stuff. Look how
Patrick's crazy.
She is doing the duffel bag drag, man. She is just it's dragging it on the ground. Just
Well, does she just have the one suitcase? Like, you have to wonder about this. Like, how many clothes do you have? Like, surely there's more to this.
Maybe that's all she got. It's like, hey, you don't need that much.
outfit for every day of the week, just does the laundry every weekend. Yeah, I can relate.
With that, let's go ahead and get into the ratings. Jason, 1 through 5 for the cover.
For me, I am going to say a 4. And a lot of that, I have to admit, is being pulled from, knowing this is one in a line of covers that have a theme. But it is one of those. So it does charge my 3 up to a 4. It is eye-catching. You do wonder what's going on. And not a whole lot else to add to what everybody else has said about it. But I think for me, a 4. I really liked it.
Delvin, do you agree with a 4?
Before I get to my comments, AU Kathy gave it a 3, says the X-Men in the back are too static for her. Tim Price simply gave it a 3. And I don't know whether they're joking or not, but Matt Passo gave it a 3 as well, says a team full of haters not helping Kitty. And Auburn Elvis says the cover's a 2, a strong 2, not strong enough to lift that suitcase, so not very strong. You know what? I'm at a 3. It's a good cover. It does convey the emotions. And I want to give Dave Cockrum 2 thumbs up for even drawing this cover, seeing as how he drew last cover and then drew a double-sized issue and still had enough static to come back and draw the cover for 151. Kudos to him for that, because that's a lot of drawing. And if anything, that was one of the reasons that Dave Cockrum originally left the book, because he could not keep up with a monthly schedule. He was doing the bi-monthly schedule, but could not keep up with the once a month. So for him to come back with a cover of this quality is admirable.
That is true. Thank you, Delvin. Jarrett, 1 through 5.
I'm going to join Delvin with a 3. I think artistically, Cockrum, it might deserve a 4, but it's getting bumped down due to 10-Speed Racer and just sort of the content of the teen angst thing, which is always going to be Jared's cynical bugaboo. It's the only thing that would make it better is if Jean Grey was there and also not helping, which she could literally do with a thought.
Jason, the Weasel Skull, what are you going to rate it?
I'm going to go with Jason Lady with a 4. I really like this one. I know that it's teen angsty, but that's kind of what we were going for on this issue. Whether that's your cup of tea or not, Cockrum did a really good job at capturing that, just in her poise and then her facial expression, the helplessness look of the team behind them as they help her not at all with that suitcase. But I think it grabs, it really grabs that attention. And like Jason Lady said, it's one of those, there'll be homages throughout the X-Men history. So that kind of tickles my tummy feathers a little bit and bumps it up to a 4.
Well, for me, it is going to be a 3. So I will be with 3 cool guys at a 3 and 4 chumps at a 4.
2 Jasons.
2 Jasons and 2 Jasons at a 4. But I think we all got separate reasons for this. And I can appreciate that you guys know the storyline and what's going on with it. I just think, I feel like Jarrett, I really don't know. Kitty hasn't been around that long enough. So it's like, I get it.
I'm leaving the team. Okay. You've been here 15 minutes. Bye, I guess.
Y'all, you know what this is, right? I mean, since we've already gotten past the ratings, you know what this is. Like, fast forward about 15 years or so, Kurt Busiek, Avengers, like, this is his triathlon. He wants people to care about the character who he created.
Except this time it's going to work.
It worked. Like, no one gives a flying fig about triathlon.
But Delvin, he's 3 times as fast and 3 times as strong.
Quit it. Stop it.
He does have some supporters. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get to the story synopsis. And that is brought to you by Jason. Cyclops, Storm, Banshee, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, Colossus, Children of the Atom, students of Charles Xavier, mutants, feared and hated by the world they have sworn to protect. These are the strangest heroes of all. These are the X-Men.
Stan Lee presents the Uncanny X-Men.
The title is X-Men -1. Kitty Pryde's parents have decided that she needs to leave Xavier's school and transfer to a Massachusetts academy run by the X-Men's nemesis, Emma Frost. After a tearful farewell, Aurora drives Kitty to her new school, only to be attacked by the nefarious White Queen. In a new gambit to take down the X-Men, Emma Freaky Fridays her body for Storms in order to gain access to the X-Mansion. Simultaneously, Shaw unleashes a pack of Sentinels on the estate. After a spectacular fight, Emma, disguised as Storm, uses the chaos to gain access and stands poised to take down the X-Men from the inside.
Thank you, Jason, for that story synopsis. Let's get to the bric-a-brac. Is it a first read or a reread? Jason Lady.
This is a reread. My dad and I collected the entire Claremont run of X-Men, so this is a reread for me. Not one I reread very often, but it is one that I have reread. I detect some Claremont hate. In the past, I have heard this. We were fans. Sorry.
Hey, people read Dostoevsky too, so that's fine.
No accounting for taste, right? Yeah.
Jared.
Hey, I promise I'll say something good about Claremont today. Am I supposed to?
Yeah, it's your turn to. Is it a first read or a reread?
I tell you, it kind of feels like a reread. It doesn't matter at this point because Jason Lady ruined it. But I'd have to ask my brother if we had this when we were kids. I feel like we might have. But if he says no, then it'll be a first read. So let's find out from Jason if this is a first read or a reread for me.
I don't think we had this one when we were kids. I think I started collecting around 180-ish. I think that sounds about right. So this one I think was just before us. I didn't remember reading it.
So is it a first read for you then too?
Yeah, I think it is a first read. If I'd read it before, I sure didn't remember it.
So 2 first reads then. Delvin, first read or a reread?
It's first read for me, Pat. Yeah.
Guess what?
What's that?
Well, I think it's a first read for me too, because I've heard the story from a podcast that I listened to where they did like the audio drama of stuff, but when reading it, it didn't play out like they did in the audio drama. So I didn't feel like, I'm like, yeah, I think I know the story. But then when I read it, it's like, I don't think I've ever read it. So I'm going to say it's a first read for me as well too.
So there's other podcasts out there besides ours?
Apparently there is. Yeah. Well,
Pretenders, all of them. Yeah.
You got to listen to something when we don't have something out. So,
well, Pat, I'm wondering where we've been.
Find it. Rainbow Connection. The lover. The dreamers.
I don't like this new dumb song. It sucks, and you suck for reading it. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's late. I'm angry.
Stop reading comics.
Close to midnight, Delvin. He's like
I hate you all.
He's like a mogwai.
Well, with that, let's get to some high lows or what does. Jason Lady, you got a high low or what the for this round?
A high for me in this story is there's a little tactic that Nightcrawler, Kurt Wagner, uses at the end of the story when they're fighting the Sentinels. He accesses the X-Men's seldom referenced armory that they apparently have in the mansion, but he gets a bunch of explosives with timers on them, and he teleports very rapidly, sticks them to the Sentinels' legs, and sets the timers just so, and boom, 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 they all are destroyed. And I thought that was a clever use of his power. And you don't really get to see him have those big hero moments. Everybody else is pretty much getting their butt kicked in this fight. It seemed like maybe Colossus was doing something, but Nightcrawler is really the one who stepped in and said, you know what, I'm just going to get some bombs and blow these things up. So kudos for creative use of his power. Him, who doesn't really get to have the big moments, got to have a big moment. And it was just a cool, like, kind of superhero action moment to see.
Colossus got pounded into the ground.
Yes.
like a Bugs Bunny cartoon or something.
These Sentinels that Shaw has, are they like, aftermarket ones? Because he wasn't behind the Sentinels originally. So where did he get them? Did he, just like, oh, we got some extras floating around, let's sell them to somebody? And
there was a subplot for a while there of Shaw working with Henry Gyrick. Henry Gyrick doesn't know Shaw is a mutant. He just thinks Shaw is a wealthy industrialist. And I think Shaw's company was building the Sentinels.
Some of the parts for okay.
Yeah, so
Oh, interesting.
Clearly the Acme brand of
I get them off Wish.
Yeah.
Timu.
Cheaped out on some parts of this. We'll just say that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because I was wondering that myself. We'll go to Delvin. You got a high, low, or what the?
I'll give it a high. Little run burgundy happened in this book because like that escalated quickly. Like all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, Sentinels. Oh my, and there's a pitch fight and White Queen and Storm mind swap. What is going on right now? Like it took off quickly. And I will give I remember like when the Cyclops leaving issue happened, I hated it because they just turned it into this really cheap recap one. And I was like, bleh, what is this? Oh, no, I'm not reading this. Like this was like, no, we're picking up right with the action. You know, like this very emotionally charged thing happens where Kitty leaves and then Storm goes and gets mind swiped and just action. Like we're not even letting them rest for a beat. So thumbs way up on that. And he could have taken a break because Cockrum wasn't on the book right now. No, we got some artists and I'm writing a story. Let's go. So thumbs way up.
Yeah, definitely for sure on that. And I'll just kind of go in here real quick. I don't know if you guys saw in the letters page that they do mention why there are some different artists on this one. And briefly, it just kind of says because of the big double-sized 150 extravaganza that was done, that Dave Cockrum did, some of the scheduling for the X-Men had gotten a little hectic lately. And so they had gotten some other good talent to help out in doing this, some of the next few issues here. So we will have another few, but Dave Cockrum will return in issue 153. So that kind of makes us remember when we were kind of talking about, well, where are the artists were in previous episodes, kind of helps understand why Cochrum's not on this one and kind of behind on a few things. But it is interesting. Jarrett, you got a high, low, or what the?
I promised a high. I'm going to give a high. And it's funny how between Speed Demon and our thoughts on this X-Men, Delvin and I are very lockstep tonight because I immediately compared it to the X-Men Cyclops is leaving issue as well. And that one had that banger cover. And then the inside was mwah, mwah. And then here we have this cover that I'm like, it's the teen drama version of the banger cover. But the story, I told you I was going to say something nice about Claremont. This story is fire. It's funny because it started out, I was like, nah, okay, yeah. You know, I could hear the theme from Dawson's Creek playing as I was like, okay, oh, Kitty's got to go. I don't really care. She's only been here for a couple issues. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, she's going to drive her to her new school. Oh, mind swap. Robots. Fights. Let's go. Wow. It like really picks up. And I thought that was really, really cool. It's a very engaging story. Like I'm very invested in the whole. I love it when they do this, when they do the whole switcheroo with characters.
Yeah.
In this case, she swapped out their minds. I'm interested to see how that's going to affect things. That's something that you can play with over the course of a couple of issues and make very interesting. So I am on board with that. I do have one theory though about the letter that we received from Kitty's parents. I think they basically just found out about Peter, and that's yeah. They
just want to cut that off.
They were like, okay, so our 14-year-old daughter's in relationship with a 19-20-year-old man. That's bleh. All right. I won't bring it up again. We've beat that horse on this show before, but just a reminder, I don't like it. So there you have it.
Jason, Weasel Skull, you got a high, low, or what the?
Yeah, I'm going to tack on to what Delvin said. You know, no Cockrum, no Byrne, no problem, man. James Sherman stepped in, and there's no, okay, let's do a filler issue. You know, let's
do a quiet one after the big one. Yeah.
Chris is like, no, I got a story to tell. Get me an artist. And I've never heard of James Sherman before. I don't know, if I've read anything that he's drawn before, but he did a darn good job coming in here and just picking up and carrying on the story.
Agreed.
And that action scene with the Sentinels, just panel by panel. It's clear what's happening. And it's just really good storytelling between the writer and the artist. And this artist just kind of picked up the baton and didn't break stride. So hats off to my man, James T. Sherman.
I definitely agree with you on that. Definitely. The art was, I couldn't tell the difference really. It kept the story moving at a fast pace on this one.
Well, let's calm down. We could tell the difference between John Byrne and Dave Cockrum, but
yeah, I want Cockrum or Byrne back, sure.
but like Jason said, it's not noticeable. It's not like,
yeah,
it's like, okay, all right.
Yep, agreed. Jason, lady, high, low, or what the for your second round?
This is another high. It's actually something that made me chuckle. This is page 6, I believe. The version on Marvel Unlimited doesn't have page numbers, so I was guessing page numbers, counting manually, which doesn't really ever go well with me. But page 6, Kitty arrives at the school. Storm is driving her there, and Kitty remarks, "It's a school of preppy zombie clones. Yuck!" I thought that was kind of a funny line from her, kind of a funny observation she was making on her new schoolmates there. I thought that was amusing. So that is a high for me. Kitty's just disgust at where she is and how she expressed it.
I like it that they give some background on the White Queen, that she owns that land or that area there. And she's like, wow, she's got all this money and probably brainwashing them all anyway.
The first time we had seen the Massachusetts Academy, it was mentioned during the Dark Phoenix saga when she tried to recruit Kitty, but she went to Kitty's parents' house and, with brochures and stuff and was talking to them. We didn't actually see the school. So this is actually, completely new for the reader. A whole new aspect to the White Queen that we had not seen before.
Delvin, you got a high, low, or what the for your second round?
I'll go with another high. White Queen. She is a minx. My goodness. Later, about the, we're doing Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles well into our, my late 50s. We might be talking about Susan Uncanny X-Men 300 something, I think it was. And White Queen took over Bobby Drake's powers over Iceman and used them in a way that Iceman never did, to where you're just like, why the heck does Iceman use his powers like this? Good grief. She never tried to take over Angel because Angel is useless. And that would just I could fly. Okay, I'm bored. Yeah. You can have it back.
Ooh, I got money. I already have money.
Sure, I have money.
But when she took over Storm, and it gave you without Aurora, which we know plenty about at this point, but just it showed you another aspect of where White Queen is experiencing her powers for the first time. Is this is magnificent, and I could get completely lost in the whole power set that she has. It is incredible. So that whole thing was holy crap, that was cool. So yeah, that was just a great moment. And this version of the White Queen, they've been pretty consistent with her too. Just like I always compliment Aurora and how very steady they have kept her throughout the years with her character. They've done the same towards White Queen. They have she has always been that, she's been, and get ready to mute. She's been that, she has always been that. So I give her a ton of credit for always keeping that edge about her, because she's a very memorable character, and this is where it started. So kudos to Claremont for that.
I agree with you, Delvin, on that. It was really cool to see her take over, and in reading is wait a minute, what just happened? This isn't Storm and how she would normally act. And they're I think I know what happened now. And I thought it was really good play on they said that, the Freaky Friday, that switching of the bodies really kept me interested in seeing where it went. Jared, high, low, or what the for your second round?
I'm going to give a high for what I'm going to assume is going to happen in the future, which is that White Queen and Aurora can only swap back bodies through a tickle fight.
Oh, yeah.
That's a thing, right?
Yes, I would hope so.
Oh, we got a comment. Okay, but seriously,
I want Cockrum back for that one, though.
We got to Byrne or Cockrum on that for sure. All right, before this gets out of control, I really got a kick out of the Claremont will do this from time to time. There's these two random security guard characters.
I know.
What what were their name? Like Janice and
Yeah.
It's Janet, and I can't remember the guy's name.
It's Harvey, Janet and Harvey.
Yeah, I'm like, I need to know more about Janet.
And at one point, they don't have uniforms on, but then they do later. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, like what's going on? I need to know more about the two of them.
Her ponytail's coming out the back of her helmet. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see that. And she got that fake face on or whatever. That I'm like, oh, that's Janet.
I was like, that's pretty neat. That was pretty, like, Claremont just kind of having a little fun with that. And I think I saw Auburn Elvis mention in the chat that I should contact Marvel about doing a miniseries about those two. And I am all on board for that. I think it's a wonderful idea. So kudos to Auburn Elvis for trying to get me some work. I could write a Janet and Harvey story.
Yeah, are they married? Are they dating? Or
I don't know. Speaking of which, I hate to pull a Pat and just roll, but like there was also a strange interlude with Kurt and a girlfriend
that lady friend.
Is she the one that he was seeing way back a couple of years ago when they fought?
Yeah,
Sentinels in the park
last time. Yeah.
Okay, that's her. Okay, I was like, man, we haven't seen this one in a while.
Also his stepsister from back in the day. Yeah.
Well, according to everything I've seen on the internet, you know what? Let's pass it off.
Claremont's pulling some old stuff again, and that's what I like. Like you mentioned, Jarrett, before, this started a little slow and then just bam, started going and going. Yeah. I want to read the next issue.
I wanted to be so bitter about it when I first started reading it, but I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to high gear.
Yeah, definitely. It was enjoyable to read. Jason, Weasel Skull, you've been waiting a long time. What do you got?
Like you guys, when I saw this cover, I was thinking about the Cyclops cover, and I went, uh-oh, this is going to be one of those. Am I going to have to listen to Jared for an hour and a half? Go on and on.
I was ready for it.
Oh, I know that it was angsty, teenage angst, and we kind of laugh at it. But I did really appreciate this story where Kitty is in this issue as she's coming into the X-Men. She's at a time of like really tough transition. Her parents are divorcing. She's finally found a home, but she doesn't have a say in if she can stay in this home. And she's a very intelligent young woman. Like she's a genius level young woman. So she's light years ahead of other kids her age. And this is really hard for her. And how the X-Men come to their aid, cover notwithstanding, is very touching. Even the part where she says goodbye to Wolverine, he said, "My friends call me Logan." That
was cool.
Yeah, you get some good character moments.
Yeah, so that really kind of starts that relationship with them. And just really that surrogate mom that Aurora plays to her is so touching, and Aurora's like, things change, Kitty. Change is part of life, and those tough talks that she has. I really appreciated that. And then credit to Claremont, he cuts into some action after that. So we don't write it out the whole issue, in which case I would have been like, Jared will be just complaining the whole time. So it was a really good balance of that touching moment up front and the action in the second half.
Yes, I agree. Definitely on the character moments that were done, get a little more deeper appreciation for them all. Thinking back on this now with what you actually read in the story, I don't think they could have used a cover that maybe showed you like with the White Witch or the Sentinels and all that, because not knowing that was even more surprising to see what happened. So the cover, it was telling you Kitty's going to leave her, but that really wasn't most of the story at all. It was the Queen taking over and just doing all that action and things that happened that I thought really surprised me and made it a better issue than what the cover makes you think it's going to be about.
And something that surprised me about that I completely forgotten is that it starts with everything already in motion. I think someone maybe have mentioned that earlier, but it starts. They have already received the letter. They've already received the notice from Kitty's parents that she has to leave and she's going to the Massachusetts Academy. Like they didn't have to waste time leading up to that letter arriving, then reading it. Oh no, we have to tell Kitty. They didn't waste time with any of that. It just drops you right in. This has happened. Some time has passed since issue 150, and you're dropped right into this situation. And I thought that was a great choice because, like you said, the story just moves, from that point onward. So that is impressive.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's go into who went the extra mile for this issue. And Jason, lady, we'll start with you. Who went the extra mile for you?
On one hand, I want to say Kitty, because she's facing this situation, being like, I can't blow the X-Men's cover, so I've got to go through with something I don't want to do. That is admirable. But, I got to give it to Storm at the end, waking up in Emma Frost's body with a completely different set of powers. And she understandably has a freak out. We all would, right? But, what makes it worse, she's all in someone else's body and doesn't know what's happened to her body. But she's got these telepathic powers she can't control. And, she is understandably just like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And she remembers the lessons that Jean Grey taught her, Jean Grey talking about her own telepathic powers. And so it's like the legacy of Jean, the memory of Jean is like kind of coming in to like help. It's not like this. They keep thinking about her since she died and having all these anguish moments and stuff. It's cool to be like, oh, we learned something from her. And Storm is able to bring that to the fore and kind of get the powers, somewhat under control. And that's just impressive. And another sign of just the indomitable willpower that Storm always exhibits, throughout their entire tenure as a character. So, yeah, I got to give it to Storm in this situation. Terrible situation. And, she is powering her way through it.
Jarrett, who went the extra mile?
You know what? Nightcrawler. He goes from on the verge of making some sweet time to what Jason pointed out earlier, which was an excellent tactic of the bam, 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 boom. That was cool, fun to watch. It's always fun to see a neat tactical use of someone's powers like that. So there's a lot to choose from this book, and I'll just keep it simple and stick with my boy Nightcrawler, who got some smoochy, boom, boom, or as Bond fans might call it, kiss, kiss, bang, bang.
Bang, bang. Yes. And that was a good choice as well, too. Delvin, who went the extra mile for you?
I'm going to go with the White Queen because, Storm was like, I don't like this chick. I don't really want to be around this chick. And as soon as she was in the room, 1 second later, boom, White Queen was already jumping on her with the power. She already had the scheme ready. Didn't give her a chance to even defend herself. Dang, son. So yeah, White Queen. She has been impressive because she is that bee for real.
I'm going to agree with you on that one too. She is my choice for going the extra mile. Total takeover, and she's cool and smooth about doing it as well. Jason, who is your extra mile?
I'm going to have to agree with Jared with the Nightcrawler. I mean, it started off kind of slow, right? Because our boy got knocked out right off the bat. Just pow. And then we have fight. And he wakes up and he's like, what? And Colossus is staked into the ground, punched into the ground like a nail. Wolverine's blind, just itching around with his claws. The Cyclops is shooting him and is like, my eye beams have no effect. And I was like, oh, go figure. Yeah. And so my boy Nightcrawler's like, bump this. And just gets himself a handful of C4 and just goes to town, goes to work on those suckers. 10 seconds. And he has them out. Nightcrawler all the way.
Real quick, that was a great, I thought that was a great bit of writing that Claremont did about, it took him 9 seconds and he set the timer for 10 and it was boom. It was oh.
Yeah.
You could see that in the movie, man. Just and then he just walks away and all the sentinels just exploding behind him.
Yeah.
And I want to point out what a bad tactic it is to blind Wolverine. That's almost worse.
Right.
Just let him do it. Because blind flailing Wolverine, no thanks.
Yeah, he was getting some hits in. He was, no lie.
If I'm a bad guy, I'm like, no, that's bad to worse.
Now that we got the extra mile out of the way, let's go to the ratings for this issue. It's a 1 through 5 rating. 5 is you loved it. It gave you a ring to swing from. 4, you really liked it. 3, liked it. 2, didn't like it. And 1, you hated it. It turned you into a baby. Jason Lady, how would you rate this issue?
I'm going to rate it a 3. And, that's from a couple perspectives. It probably would be a 4 on its own. But like I said earlier, my dad and I collected the whole Claremont run. I can't help but compare it to some of the other stories. And this is one I find myself kind of forgetting about, honestly, that this actually happened. This is a 2-parter. And I do find it to be kind of forgettable compared to a lot of the other stuff that happens. So I think that puts it down to a 3 for me, but it's a solid 3. Like I said earlier, the story moves, the action moves. You're on the edge of your seat. Can't wait to kind of see what happens here. It definitely sets you up with a cliffhanger, for that next issue. Claremont's doing his job. He's getting you to buy the next one because you want to see what happens. So I'd say a solid 3. I liked it.
He sets the bar at a 3. Jarrett, you going to go higher or are you going to go lower?
Pat, I think I'm gonna go higher. I think I'm gonna give it a 4. I wanted to be so salty about it based off the cover, and I got a couple pages of salt, and then I was like, wait, what? And I'm very invested in this body swap. There's so much potential there. I hope Claremont has a little fun with it. We'll see. If I was him, I'd drag it out for a couple 3 issues, but we'll see. But I'm very interested to read the next issue, so I'm going for
decent.
Wait. I'm not interested to the point where I'd want our club members to vote for it. But
hey, whoa. Delvin?
The only comment we got for rating for the book was Auburn Elvis, who gave it a 4. And just like Jared, and I give it a 4 as well. It was good. The very fast pace, that was very fun issue and like very high stakes as well, because what is going to make White Queen have to give back mind control to Storm and for them to switch? Is Storm going to be the one to force that? It's going to be very interesting to see how that comes about.
Mm-hmm.
Tickle fight.
Jason, 1 through 5.
I'm going to be at a 4 as well. I think that this issue had enough action and enough drama that really surprised me. And I'm just going to give one more plug to James Sherman for just picking up and carrying on. It's almost like Claremont's like, I need an artist. What's your name? James T. Sherman, sir. You got 151. Yes, sir. And away he went and he got it done. So good for him. 4 for me.
Well, you guys, boom, boom, like a boom for me. It's a 4. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, wait. Oh, Jason lady. We couldn't do the boom, like a boom, but we'll get there. I understand where he's come from.
That's too bad. I love that song.
As a paying Patreon member, I can't be too mad at it.
No. That's a cool story to have that you and your dad were collecting it. So hats off to you guys. Fun. Good bonding.
Yeah. My dad was a big fan of X-Men. He loved X-Men. Storm and Wolverine were his favorites. So, yeah, I think he liked it more than I did, to tell you the truth. I was more of an Avengers, Spider-Man, kid. And, although I did like X-Men. And, he loved it. He had a Wolverine T-shirt. And,
Oh, your dad had good taste.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Yes, he did.
Oh, that's a great story. Well, with that, that's going to bring us to the end of this part of the show. You got a comment or a question? You can call us and leave us a voicemail at 707-532-5269. That's 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the phone.
That was Speed Demon.
We will be right back.
My name is Jesse, a Trekkie. A radiation wave hit and I got shot through a wormhole. And now I'm on some distant corner of the galaxy on a podcast, an index show about a strange science fiction series. Help me, please. Is there anybody out there who can hear me? I'm co-hosting with an insane Farscape fan. I'm doing everything I can. I'm just looking for a way home.
What the Frell, a Farscape podcast. Available only on the Council of Geeks podcast network.
Welcome back from the break. Now let's get to the feedback part of the show where we share your comments, emails, questions, and shares in a segment called Crusader Comments. We're thrilled to kick off these comments with special shout outs to our Crusaders Club members. These are the fine folks that have joined our crusade. They enjoy early access to special Longbox episodes, voting to help determine show content, and so much more. So these are the folks reaping the benefits and giving some much appreciated support to the show.
Alan Wright.
Angelica Wolf.
Elbrin Elvis in the super secret chat.
Bill Beer.
Braxton Underwood.
Captain Entropy.
Clark Westfield.
Clinton Robertson.
Dave Collins. Battlewagon.
Gary V.
Gerald Green.
Jason Keene.
And Jason Lady. Joining us live on the show.
Jeremy L.
Jim Jarman. I'm tired. Don't feel like singing.
Jim Meal,
Joe Thomas,
John Watson,
Josh Strickland,
Candace Ward,
Captivating Kathy Bright, the MVP,
Mark Ross,
Matt and Lissy Paso,
Maxwell Traver.
just want to mention thanks to Kathy and Matt for being in the chat. Miranda W,
P.D. Devons,
Paul Hicks,
Rick from Jeff and Rick Present,
Rob Morgan,
Samantha Maney,
Sean Urbanski,
Spidey 67,
Spreadsheet,
Steve Cronin. Thanks for stopping by in the chat.
Tim Price, thank you also for stopping by in the chat.
Tony Pennington,
Toronto Cop.
If we missed anyone on our list, we do apologize. Keep in mind, we record these episodes well in advance of release, so if you're a recent addition, we should be adding you soon. But still, no worries. Just let us know that we missed you by sending an email to contact@longboxcrusade.com and we will get it straightened out. As a reminder, you can become a Crusaders Club member by heading over to patreon.com/longboxcrusade. For as little as $1 a month, you'll get access to the amazing world of the Crusaders Club. Come check it out. Don't have any extra scratch lying around, but still want to help us out here at LBC headquarters? Please take a moment to write a review on Apple Podcasts for this podcast. Even if you just want to keep it short with just star ratings, it helps raise the profile of the show, and we will share your review on the next show. We'll move on to social media shares and retweets from Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles episode 74 from April 1981, where the issues we discussed were Amazing Spider-Man 218 and Uncanny X-Men 147.
All right, so we got likes to cheers from Scotty Cameron,
Doc Strange,
Days of High Adventure Podcast,
Canadian Tokusatsu Donald, CA.
Coffee and Comics,
and the Dame Deborah Smith.
And we have social media comments, and
this is from Scotty Cameron from 3 months ago. He says, great episode. I love the discussion of the Amazing Spider-Man and Uncanny X-Men comics. It's great to see Jared loving X-Men comics. I agree.
Woo-hoo!
It is good to see. It's safe to call Dr. Doom a villain for all Marvel heroes.
I'll take the next one from The Hammer Strikes and Randy P. stuff. Gene says, this might help you guys out with your guessing. I might have my original books from the Phaser Rip Marvel RPG, and he gives the points and all that for stuff, but I think I like my guessing.
Phaser stands for fighting, agility, strength, endurance, reason, intuition, and psyche. Those are all the attributes.
Sure.
Character.
Yeah, what Jason just said. Yep.
Yeah. Nerd out. Yeah.
Yeah, I still have all my Phase Rip stuff at this time as well. But you know what? Auburn Elves is doing just fine with his karma counts. But I appreciate the effort from Gene. Like, he's like, square yourselves away, gentlemen. And we're like, maybe.
You don't do research on the show. I thought we made that clear.
we're like square schmare.
Scotty Cameron dropped a comment at another source, which we always appreciate. Scotty does multiple sources, always helps with our algorithms on various locations. So thanks for doing that, Scotty. And he says, when did Clayface end up in the Marvel Universe? Dr. Doom creating Death Trap, where he wants his subjects to beat his traps and survive, and a plot twist of Jared loving an X-Men comic. When did the LBC podcast become a quasi-Saw podcast? That's funny because the Death Traps and then the plot twist. You know, Claremont, he's turned in a few gems lately that I've enjoyed. Let's hope it keeps going.
And we have last comment from Chad Michael Simon. He says, that was one of the first older issues of X-Men I ever saw after I started collecting at 225. It was like peering into another world. The term Rogue Storm confused me because it had nothing to do with Rogue, LOL. Come on, I was a kid. No forgiveness, Chad Michael Simon. You better go back in the past and get your kid self straightened out. No, we're kidding.
Yeah. Or pack your bags, you're leaving, you're out of the school. Your mom and dad just called you. You got to go home.
That's right. You know, I forged a letter. I mean, a letter was written. Anyway, nothing. I said nothing. I'm moving on quickly now. You can call us, by the way, if you want to leave us a voicemail. You can do that because we have a phone number that you can call us at. That phone number, by the way, is 707-532-5269. That is 707-532-LBOX.
Got the phone.
Well, hello, Crusaders. It's Tim Price. So I was Looking at Crusade Miss Day 11, this Bruce Lee comic reminds me of my time studying Taekwondo. I actually earned my black belt and helped teach classes. And, we go to tournaments and stuff. Well, one time, we had like half a dozen white belt students. And after they finished competing, they all changed their clothes, but their gis were all sweaty and nasty. So they laid them on the bleachers. And I told them, they won't dry like that. You can't leave 6 gis a-laying. Merry Christmas, Crusaders!
Pick up the phone and thank you to everyone for the likes, shares, follows, and comments. We appreciate your friendship and help in spreading the word about this podcast.
And that's the show. Be sure to check out the website longboxcrusade.com where posts will be made for journaling this crusade. I want to thank our guest Jason Lady for joining us, along with Jared, Jason, and Delvin. I also want to say special thanks to the people in the special secret super chat that joined us. But before we go, let's find out where the listeners can find us all on the internet. Jason Lady, where can you be found?
Sure. For people that have heard this show before with me on it, you've heard me talk about my books for young readers. So you can find me at my author website, www.jasonrlady.com. Info about my books called The Magic Pen Adventures, Monster Problems, Super Problems, and Time Problems, all there. You can buy them there. You can learn more about me. I am on social media at Jason R. Lady Author at Facebook and Jason R. Lady Author on Instagram.
All right. Well, thanks again, Jason, for joining us. And please go check out his books and wares. Delvin, where can you be found?
I can be found on Twitter, DEE_RAY1977. I can be found on Instagram at Delvin Ray.
Jason?
You can find me at Jason Albrick on Instagram and Threads.
And Jared.
Oh, Pat, I'm glad you asked. You can find me on X, Facebook, and Instagram, all at Yard Sale Artist. You can check out my artwares at www.theyardsaleartist.com, or you can find me at the local Chinese buffet. Wherever you live, I'm at your local Chinese buffet.
Oh, yeah. Yum, yum. I like that.
Yeah, we got some good ones here. We do.
And you can find me on the Twitter X at Christatos01. And if you want to interact with us live via some chat and be entered in to win some free stuff on our live raffles we do, join us on our next episode of Doing It live stream on YouTube. It's the second Sunday of every month at 3:30 p.m. Central Time. Check out the Longbox Crusade on YouTube, and please subscribe and hit the bell so you will get notifications of when we are going live. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this episode of Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles. Don't forget, if you got a comment or a question, go ahead and contact us at longboxcrusade.com. Leave a comment on the Longbox Crusade Facebook, Instagram, Twitter page, all at Longbox Crusade. Until next time, take care, and please join us on the next episode as we continue on the crusade to
read them all.
The intro music is provided by musical genius Joe November.
Check out his SoundCloud at JOSEFLIN99. You won't regret it.
All songs, song clips, and characters discussed are copyright of their respective copyright holders, and no infringement is intended. We are just fans that like to share our love of comics.
Outtakes.
Delvin, I don't mind that you're eating. You got to do it when you can, right? You know, you're a busy man.
Right, Jason. Thank you. Thank you for understanding.
It's just embolden his bad decision making.
Like a longtime friend should do, Jason. Like a long time.
Look at me shaking my head at you in the square.
There you go. Can you see that? Can you see that?
That's what old friends could do to each other, though, right? They can promote each
absolutely.
Go to the private chat, Delvin.
Oh, I see it. I see it in the private chat. Okay.
It's my private chat.
Don't start Jason
Chat
up again.
if you want to.
Private chat.
Chat for money. Do what you want me to do.
I'm your private. All right. Do. Okay. That's the music. You only do 4?
I think when you set up the special that you had it set to 4. That's all right. We're shrinking.
Shrinking. Barnacles. Oh no.
All the
access. Yes. Yep. There you go. All the access.
Look how tiny my head is. I'm not used to that. Usually my head's enormous. Thanks, Pat.
You're welcome. Hey, anything I can help you with. Saving the world one big head at a time. There we go. Guess we
While Pat's doing this, you people in the chat, we can play a game called What Do You Think Delvin's Eating for Dinner?
Bloop, bloop, bloop.
Oh, hey.
Bloop. Colorist is Ben Sheehan, right?
Isn't it just Sean?
Sean.
Probably Sean. It's probably Ben Sean.
I'm trying. See, now I'm fumbling and I'm trying too hard.
I don't care who he's been. Who is he now?
Sheen. Ben Sean. Jarrett, high, low, or what the for your second round?
High goes to my son Jordan, who just brought me a burrito.
All right. Well, with that, does anybody have any other thing they want to say before we go into who went the extra mile?
Muffy. Figures.
Muffy.
A preppy zombie clone. Is that what
Yeah.
call those kids?
My name's Muffy. She's like, that figures.
Of course they're Muffy.
Of course.